Hey, and welcome back to today's video. Today is a not so good day, and I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to kind of do a little background video for those who don't know me super well or know my background or anything about me. I am the second oldest of 7 kids, Mormon family, all that. So I have relationship problems, to say the least. And as I've gotten older, I feel I've identified where it comes from and why, and why I am the way that I am. So my older brother is a meth addict. He has been he's done drugs, been on drugs since he was 12 years old. He's 7 years older than me, so that was something I've always struggled with. I've always had to be the older sibling. I've always had to be the caregiver, the one that takes care of everybody, and no complaints about that. I feel it's taught me a lot, and I definitely want to be a mom and all that, but it was hard. It made me have to grow up at a really, really young age, and it made me have to step up and, be an adult. Along with that, I received some not so good attention when I was younger, that has also kind of mentally screwed things up for me, that I am working through again as I've gotten older and been able to identify these things. And because of said attention, it's kind of led me down certain paths in my life. And growing up, my family, we obviously love each other. Like, we love each other. We're not very good about physical love and about that validation. And I always struggled with that as a kid because I always wanted that. Like, that's how I feel loved. That's how I feel loved in relationships, is that attention, that affection, words of affirmation. Like, that's my love language. And so when I was younger, I didn't really receive that from my actual, my parents, I guess you could say. I don't want that to sound like they didn't love me. Of course my parents love me. That's just not their love language. I didn't receive a lot of physical affection, and when I did, it was from bad situations that I won't go too much into. Needless to say, I was hurt as a child, but not by my parents or anything like that. Anyways, but that is part of why I am the way that I am, why I struggle sometimes. And from a super young age, I wanted and craved that attention. And as you get older and you start dating, not even old enough to date, like I had boyfriends when I was like 12, and was starting to get sexually active, and I knew I wanted that attention. To me, that meant that somebody loved me, that because they were giving me that affection, they wanted me, they loved me. And it just progressively got worse and worse and worse as I got older. In high school, I started, you go through puberty, whatever, and I had a body, like I always have. I've always had a body. I've always had curves. I've always, whatever. And then going through high school and having boyfriends and, pushing the line farther and farther and farther. And there were a couple instances. I think the first boy I ever thought I loved, it's probably my sophomore year of high school. I think it was my first kind of adult relationship, adult-ish, as adult as you can be at 16, 15, 16. And there were just so many emotions, and, did so many things, like pushing boundaries and like first time things with this person. And I think that's what I confuse with lust with love. And I knew I wanted that attention. And then with that situation, he wanted somebody else. The whole time I thought he wanted me, but then he turned out he's playing both of us at the same time. And then we both found this out, and then like a week or two later, I find out that him and the other person are together. And it wrecked me. Like, it broke my heart. My little 16-year-old heart. I didn't know any better. And I remember being so hurt of like, we did these things together and I thought you loved me. Like I said, I confused lust with love. And it took me a long time to move forward from that. I feel that was the first person I ever loved. And then from there, it was kind of a downward spiral. Things happened in my family that it's not my business to share, but things happened and it messed with me. It messed with me mentally because I never talked about it. I never saw a counselor about it. I never was able to work through the emotions that came from it. It was, again, a very adult situation that was very much in the home and traumatizing to me and my siblings because we didn't talk about what happened. We didn't resolve it. It was just like this situation happened and then it like resolved itself. I don't even really... There's always going to be lasting damage from it. I can't, out of respect for people, I won't go too much into it, but it messed me up. Severe trust issues, severe low self-esteem. I still struggle with self-esteem, but it just messed me up. I remember thinking, I do not care anymore. I don't care. I don't care about myself. I don't care what people think. I don't care. I'm going to do what I want to do. I was 16, 17 at this point. And yeah, I just had this thinking of like, I don't care. Any attention's good attention. I'm going to do what I want. And that thinking led me into some sketchy situations with sketchy people. And I was friends with some people in high school that, they were sexually active and starting to, make different choices. And then that led me to be like, oh, well, my 18th birthday is coming up. And I was like, I'm going to lose my virginity before I'm 18. I had no rhyme or reason. I just didn't care. And I knew somebody that would do it for me. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. It wasn't somebody I was in love with. It wasn't somebody I was so, like, head over heels, like, been with for the longest time. Like, let alone even trusted. I didn't even know what I was doing. I just wanted to hit that milestone. And I did. And it was horrible. Horrible situation. Knowing what I know now, I would have gone back and told my little, 17-year-old self, it's so not worth it. This boy doesn't love you. This boy doesn't care about you. I was a mess. And after that happened, I didn't care even more. I flaunted it. I flaunted the fact that I had lost my virginity, that I was having sex. And such an idiot. He didn't have anybody there to be like, Haley, what are you doing? You're so much better than this. My family, like my parents, had their own issues that they were going through, moving forward from. And when situation happened in the family, I was on my own. I always have been. I've always done my own thing. I've always taken care of myself. And yeah, it was just bad. I got myself in some sketchy situations. And it just, from there, it just kind of progressed. And then my parents had this talk with me. Because they found out about somebody. I don't know the extent of what they found out, but this person was way older than me. Way older than me, and it was so not appropriate. And, yeah. Then I did the church thing, I repented, I talked to my bishop. And honestly, like, talking to him, like, I did feel like he loved me. Like, that talking to him, he was like, it's okay. Like, we're gonna move forward from this. And I was so young, and being raised in the church, it's like, your virtue is all you have. And I didn't have it anymore. That sucked. Once I graduated and doing the whole singles ward thing, and actually the end of my senior year, I was dating somebody, and I, had decided I'm not going to do the whole sex thing anymore. I need to have a better self-worth and not just give myself away. That person broke up with me because of that. Like, I was even surprised he was dating me in the first place. Like, I had the biggest crush on him for the longest time. And I was just like, oh my God, like, I can't believe we're dating and all this stuff. And then I told him, I was like, I'm not doing that anymore. Like, I've decided to wait till I get married. And he made up some bullshit about distance being the problem, and he broke up with me. I do think I remember him apologizing to me later on of like, I'm sorry, that wasn't right, that wasn't like, I was a dick, whatever. It's like, yeah, you were, but it's cool. So yeah, anyways, I graduated high school. I was doing good, doing the YSA thing, and like I talked about in my first video, met the one boyfriend that we talked about getting married and wanted to get married, but it was just, I think we were too much for each other. Like, I think he was really, really wanting to get married, and that was my plan for my life, was like, I want to get married and have babies. That is what I was supposed to do in life. I want to be a wife and a mother. And so I was all, on board, and then it wasn't working. I was not ready, and I have this problem that even when in relationships, will not necessarily seek out, but I'll still take advantage of attention from other people. Like, I really don't like this part about myself, and I'm still trying to work on it. I do really good at times, but I like the attention. I like feeling wanted. I like knowing that people want me. And I'll do it even in relationships sometimes. It's essentially cheating. And it gets me hurt all the time. Because I'll want the relationship. I'll want that fantasy of the relationship, being wanted the love. I want the love. And then it's never what it is, ever. And when I have something good, I sabotage it. I ruin it. I self-sabotage. It's too good. I need the bad. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, it's like oh, they're too good. They're too good. And I screw it up. But anyways, after my first, like, adult relationship, after graduating, that fell apart, and I was seeing the one dude, like I talked about in my first video. I don't remember the name I gave him, so I'm not going to go too much into it, but that whole thing was very negative. It was all about the sexual attraction. It was all about that attention and that being wanted. And then obviously that didn't work because he didn't want me. And then I met my ex-husband. And with every relationship I had after I graduated, they were all Mormon. Every one of them, I told them, I'm not a virgin. Are you okay with that? Because in the LDS community, it's a big deal. Especially, I felt, for being a girl. I feel like for men, it's not as big of a deal. And that is my honest opinion. But I feel like for women, you are so unclean and looked down on that every time I had to tell somebody, it hurt. I knew with my first boyfriend, I think he accepted it, but he also kind of had problems of his own. That I think the fact that I wasn't a virgin kind of fed into that, and that's why we didn't work. I don't even know if that makes sense, but it's his own personal stuff, and it is not my place to talk about it. Second relationship was purely sexual. I feel like we both took advantage of each other for the fact that we both were sexually active, and we used each other. And then my ex-husband, he was the same. And he had dated women who had kids. But honestly, I felt that it would have been easier for him if I had had a kid instead of just being sexually active. Because that's what ruined our marriage in the end. Part of it. I'll talk about that. But I remember telling him, and I'm pretty sure I cried. We had a really good, like, heart-to-heart, one of our first nights together. Getting to know each other, and I was, like, crying. Because I knew I really liked him. I don't know why. But right off the bat, we had such intense feelings for each other. And I was still struggling with myself, but the reason I wanted to talk about this was because to this day, I struggle with that. And I'll do really good. And I'll block people like that. If I know that that's what they want from me, pictures, like, just using me, like, I'll block them. Like, I am not gonna do this anymore. Because what happens is I think, like, I'm on the high of, like, the attention and them wanting me and the thrill of it and somebody new, and then it's over. And that's all they wanted. They didn't want me. They wanted what they saw. They wanted that girl. They wanted the girl that can look sexy and make her body look good for their satisfaction. They didn't want Haley. They didn't want to get to know me. They never want a relationship, I'm always literally the side piece. I'm never the girlfriend. And I'm not going to do it anymore. And I say I'm not, and I do really good, and then I fall right back into it. And it's a struggle. And I feel like there's a lot of girls out there that can relate to that. And that's also why I wanted to talk about it, because I know I'm not the only one. But I think it's good to do kind of like a self-analysis of like, okay, why am I talking to this person? What does this person want from me? Is this going to bring me down or build me up? And if it's nothing positive, you need to walk away immediately. Walk away, block the number, don't talk to him, because that's literally what I have to do. Like, I have a good thing going right now. Like, yeah. I don't know what I'm gonna say about that, but I've met some good people. Like, I've been shown how it is to actually be courted and to actually feel appreciated. And it sucks because sometimes I wonder how long that'll last. Or I wonder how long it'll be before I screw it up. Or before I get bored. That's the problem, is I get bored. And I seek the attention from somewhere else. I just felt like I needed to talk about this. It's one of those days. And you boys, men out there, you have got to stop treating women disrespectfully and treating them as something that you can use just for a moment or a time until you find somebody better. You have no idea what you're doing to them. Taking advantage of a girl with low self-esteem. Think about whose daughter that is. If that was your daughter, if that's somebody's future wife who's gonna love and cherish them after you tore them apart. And it's not always the guy's fault. It's not. Us girls, we feed into it too. We allow it to happen too. But one of us has to be the strong one. To say no, block the number, walk away, don't talk to him, avoid him. If you want to love yourself and move forward and be strong, those are the things you have to do. This is another ranting video, but this has been on my mind a lot. I wanted to kind of put it out there. So hopefully, if not, it helps me. Hopefully somebody else it'll help or relate to it. Yeah, those who personally know me, I'm always here. You can always reach out to me. I do get busy sometimes, but I love to help. And I love knowing that based off of my personal experiences that I can help somebody else. So, that's it for today's video.